Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, my name is Vince, also known as Pleasantkenobi on the web, and a fun fact about me is that I fucking love Maltesers. This week I'm bringing you a triple Mirrodin flashback draft on MTGO, so I thought I'd throw all my understanding in contemporary limited formats out of the window with the bathwater. And with that, I will draft in some colourless monstrosity that splashes for 6 different colours and goes 0-3. I can't promise I won't force white, because white in Mirrodin limited format is actually got some of the best commons and uncommons, so I wouldn't even just be being shit at the game. It's actually a legitimate strategy. If you want to see each pack in more detail, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to pause the video periodically to have a look, because I'm going to be whizzing through the whole thing in my typical speedy way, just so that we can get through it and not have too long a video. So in the words of Leroy Jenkins,
let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh, it looks like I'm drafting with Emrakul, so we know that Eldrazi won't be open as an archetype. Pack 1, pick 1, I take Ice Manipulator. The long controlling game is where I want to be. Lumigrid Warden doesn't quite cut the mustard. Other picks could be Thirst, Thoughtcast or Hoverguard for the Affinity Blue deck, but I think Ice Manipulator is a safe, colourless bet. I take Arrest over the even more splashable Wizard Replica because Arrest is great. Tooth and Nail's a whole ticket, so it's not really top dollar, but it's not going to do much good in limited anyway, so I'm not taking it. I take Soldier Replica over a better white card than Sky Patrol because it is double white and more difficult to splash if I end up playing white not as my main colour, and Peacekeeper is just bad. Pick 4 Sky Hunter Cup suggests white is open and I move in on it. The cup with any moderately good equipment becomes a serious threat with minimal effort. Pack 5, I take the splashable 1-mana spell bomb, possibly the worst one, the green one, over better green cards because I do not want to be moving into green at this point, or at all if I can help it. Nothing else in the pack makes me excited or makes my Todger quiver, so we all take a spell bomb and probably won't end up playing it anyway. Pick 6 of Pewter Golem. As far as I understand, it's a strong, grindy card and Mirrodin's best played for the long game of the draft format. It's also the only 4-powered common as far as I can tell in the format without any effort to increase it with other cards. Now my 7th pick was Binding Beam, which I actually really highly prioritise in Modern Masters 1 because an aggressive or tempo strategy is actually possible and the card is super swingy during races. Here I would like access to maybe 1 to allow me to stem the bleeding to make it to the late game, or to tap that team down for a favourable attack in the late. I take this Barrier, which is essentially the usual single target Brave the Elements of God's Willing style card, which can give protection from artifacts. Whether I end up playing it or not is yet to be seen. Chromatic Sphere fixes my mana, sets up Affinity and digs me deeper towards my better cards, and then I pick up a load of old draft chaff. Pack 2, pick 1, I take a White Mirror, as I saw none wheel last time. I'm passing on to Arrest the guy on my left, which might put him into white though, which makes packs 3 super awkward, but the acceleration, body and artifact is too good not to have at least 1 on my deck. I'm hoping this Farsight Mask wheels. I think people will undervalue it because the card is actually fucking sweet and gives you basically a one-sided Howling Mine in any situation where people like to get to attack you. And speaking of card draw, here we have my favourite equipment in the set. Probably not as good as Loxodon or Warhammer on the whole, but Mask of Memory gives us a curiosity and a loot combined whenever we connect with a creature. The card advantage and selection is absolutely nuts, and it synergizes super well with the Evasive Cub. As good as a Bone Splitter is as an enabler for white creatures in this format, it's not really a format that's kind to aggro. Basically, the Cub plus the Mask is almost Splinter Twin, really. Skeleton Shard, which is the 3rd best shard behind Crystal Shard and my Penis Shard. It's super sweet at grinding people out and synergizes well with the replica cards which we can pick up. Remember kids, it only recurs artifact creatures. I found out the hard way in the middle of a single elimination draft previously when I thought it could recur any creature, and then I found out it couldn't, and I thought, oh okay, now I understand why this card doesn't seem much in EDH. We take a Goblin Replica with an off-color activated ability that kills artifacts and plays well with a Shard, a Talisman to allow our splash of either green or red depending on where we go with this. We take a Hematite Golem as a way to close out games with a good beta if we end up deeper in red than we are now. Although I want to try Granite Shard Limit at some point, it does seem quite weak, so we take another Soldier Replica to combo with my Shard. I take the Viridian Longbow, cheap damage dealer, and can pick off annoying flyers and opposing mirror, and then I wield the other mask, the bigger mask, the Howling Mine style mask, and pick up a Titanium Golem after that, and then some other shit that I won't use. At the end of pack 2, I'm only lightly in white, but for some moderately strong cards on the whole. Pack 3, we have the choice between Arrest, Binding Beams, Sky Hunter Cub and Gold Mirror, and I feel like I'm in physical pain, anguish, absolute fucking travesty. But as I need creatures, and more importantly ways to actually kill my opponent, I take the Cub. Sun Droplets would increase the grind for me, but instead I take a Pyrite Spell Bomb because it's removal. Pick 3, and we are rewarded with a 7-mana 4/4 that shits out 1/1 spirits all game long in white. Looks like we found our endgame bomb that dies to Terror. Then we get Nim Replica, which auto combos with Shard. Then we get Nim Shrieker or Somber Hoverguard. I take the Hoverguard foolishly like a madman. I'm scared that the 1 toughness back end of the Nim makes it a liability against every single piece of removal in the format. I pick up my 3rd Soldier Replica in order to enact my own modern retelling of the 90s British drama, Soldier Soldier.
There's no cure for being a cunt.
I take an artifact that gives trample because essentially my 1/3s cannot be ignored. A 2nd Nim Replica followed by a Mirror Golem as the picks dry up. If I exile a creature artifact with Mirror Golem, I can do a very good impression of a bigger Phantom Warrior to close that game than installed. I then pick up shit like Pearl Shard, Welding Jar, which is okay I guess, and Winchmine, which I will not be playing in this draft. The deck ends up looking like this, primarily white with a major black splash for activated abilities and a minor red and blue splash for 1 or 2 gold and replica abilities. It's time to kill some bitches with 1/3 soldiers or die.
I'm a badass beauty boy, 200, a space age hip-hop superhero.
I keep a 3-land hand with a creature, an Icy Manipulator, Binding Beam, and a 1-sided 5-mana Howling Mine. It's a slow hand, I'll grant you, but functional I think. Turn 1 he plays an artifact tapper that makes my mask seem really, really shit. My hand is slow and cumbersome, but a Viridian Longbow drawn on turn 4 is great against his plethora of 1/1s. I shoot his tapper down immediately and gear up to kill the Mir next turn. However, he plays a Banshee's Blade, which gives counters to itself upon combat damage and pumps creatures that are equipped with it, and he equips it to the Mir in order to fend off a shot from my bow next turn. He cracks in and grows his Mir by 1 point of power and toughness. I untap, make a land drop and resolve an Icy Manipulator, which puts me in great shape. I'm looking to block his Mir this turn, and with the Blades trigger on the stack, tap to ping and kill it, all the while tapping his other creature down with the Icy Manipulator. He plays and cracks the white spell bomb to draw a card deeper before attempting to move to combat. I tap down his flyer and he sees my potential line and doesn't swing into it. Instead he taps out for the blue golem that can gain flying or just a spoonful of sugar and a positive disposition. I play my Farsight Mask and set up a very awkward position for him to fight against. He moves his blade to his golem and then moves to combat. I obviously tap down the golem and look to get ready to block and kill the Mir if given the chance. He attacks in the air for 2 damage and I draw a card. This feels very, very strong. I get to shoot his Mir to death in the end step and he concedes. Game 2 I've decided on a Pyrite Spellbomb to my deck in order to pick off his tappers where possible with the extra removal. He plays a turn 2 Mir and I play a turn 2 Viridian Longbow. Pew 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 pew! My turn 3 Soldier Replica is met by an arrest, which is of little consequence. I follow up with a second one. He concedes under the sheer pressure of oppressive 1/3s for 3 coming straight at you from the future.
I'm a badass beauty boy, 200, a space age hip-hop superhero.
He really is a space age hip-hop superhero. I win the die roll again because it's better to be lucky than good. I keep a hand of a Mir, land and 2 3-drops. Unexciting, but it will do. Plays a wall, insert mandatory joke about Donald Trump here.
Grab him by the pussy.
I cast Mir and then Nim Replica to represent the most damage, and I'm now aiming to resolve my bomb to win the game. He plays and equips a Nightmare Lash to his Gobbo Replica and starts to crack in. At present time I can trade both my Soldier and my Nim for him by activating both next turn, which doesn't feel great. I decide that it's time to race. We miss our first land drop, which is a shame considering the quality of the threat in our hand, and we equip a Mask of Memory to our smallest creature in order to incentivize our opponent to have to choose between letting damage through or letting us draw cards. He decides letting me have cards is a bad idea. I agree with him. He smashes into me again and plays a flyer and Clockwork Condor. The flyer plus the lash makes for a very quick 3-turn clock I can't block or interact with favourably. I draw a timely arrest and decide that the flyer is the only logical target for it, considering the current board state and current information. I block his Gobbo with my Soldier in order to stem the bleeding, throwing him under the bus, and I turn the base around. He then casts the Big Daddy, the one, the only, the really fucking terrifying Megatog. A disclaimer. Megatog is not legendary, and there are in fact many of them upon the plane of Mirrodin, or at least there were prior to the invasion and occupation of the plane by the Phyrexian forces. Oh boy, imagine a Phyrexian Atog or a Phyrexian Megatog, that'd be fucking sweet. The problem with Megatog is that it gains trample, meaning that chump blocking it is just not an option. And although the card is obviously very good in this format, it does require a small amount of setup, and it folds to Terror and other similar removal whilst potentially screwing yourself over by eating artifact into it. However, against my deck, the only viable way I can have of dealing with is arrest, and well, yeah. He equips the Lash and gobbles up all his artifacts and swings with a 16-17 trampling Megatog. I am forced to group block with everything in order to just not die and get to another draw step. However, he even has the spell to shrink a blocker and get through with lethal. How unfortunate. He leads Disciple of the Vault into a 0-4 wall, and I play my soldier into another soldier. Soldier.
I'm a badass beauty boy, 2
He resolves the annoying Nim Flyer that grows in power for each artifact you control. Currently a 1-1, I play another 3-mana creature in Nim Replica, and he resolves Regenerating Golem. Nim begins its vendetta against my face with a hit for 2. I think long and hard about arresting this Golem that I can't really fight back against. The fact that it regenerates means it will swing with abandon into my lines, and unless I block it and lose a creature every turn, it will make short work of my life total with that Nim on the sidelines. I decide to arrest it at this point because it's the obvious threat on board, even though I know he has a Megatog somewhere in his deck, but I have to go with what's happening now, not what could happen. He then casts Megatog. Sadness is cast, the kicker cost is paid. I ask, what if I had played this differently in response? But alas, Sadness has resolved, and now I'm going to fucking die at the hands of another Megatog. I keep manning up for the onboard combat tricks that I've got against the Tog if it goes in on it, but he just attacks, I don't block, and he continues this frustrating rodeo but not going all in. I use Binding Beam Entwine to tap down 2 of his threats and force his team frozen for the following turn, but he nims my nim in response and I lose 2 life to the Acolyte because it counters all artifacts, not just his, which is nice. I get a pitiful 1 damage in and have him cast a normal Baby Atoll. I cast an underwhelming, underpowered Mirror Golem who pales in comparison to everything we play right now, especially the Megatog. Even though the fact that it will now have protection from artifacts and creatures doesn't help because of the trample from the Megatog. He plays it safe, chipping away with a Nim, planning to finish me off with sacrificing artifacts, no doubt, to his Megatog. I cast my Bomb Rare, only to have it meet a Terror immediately. I guess with the rest of my deck being artifact creatures, the Terror was stranded in his hand, waiting to be fired off at whatever it could. Shame it was my 7-mana Angel. He swings with his Megatog and I block it with everything, and I end up the game dying to Disciple of the Vault triggers because my own blockers were artifacts. The sadness is well and truly real.
I'm a badass beauty boy, 2 a space age hip-hop superhero.
Okay, right. Round 3. I keep a 3-lander with a Sky Carp on the mulligan to 6. I then draw a Mask of Memory and the combo is real. He leads Redmere into Elf Replica, which makes my 1 arrest a lot worse. He hits me with his Elf, offering a trade that I wouldn't take even if it was smeared in peanut butter and a very pert bottom and smelled like flowers. I play a Talisman, a Mask of Memory and equip it. All is right with the world. I attack for 3 damage in the air. I draw 2 cards and discard a card, which in this case was a land. At this point I basically won. The combo of Mask plus Sky Carp is Splinter Twin and my opponent is dead. However, we have to go through the motions. We start to race as he crashes into me for 3 damage and I draw absolute gas and drop 2 more 3 CMC dudes to maximise cards played for mana available that turn, all drawn off the Mask. I connect again, draw more gas, and cast a 4-drop and a 3-drop. He blows up my Sky Club with the opening for me being tapped out. I don't mind though as I have a second in play. He untaps and plays a real bomb, a living hive. When it connects with me, whatever damage is done, it creates 1/1 insects equal to that damage. As far ahead as I am a little scared that this huge beast might turn the tides. I decide to get in the air still, as this is the best way for me to actually win this game by racing him. I draw some more cards, play another dude and pass back. My opponent puts 3 +1/+1 counters on his living hind, which is quite frankly disgusting. There isn't much I wouldn't do for a terror in the spot, although get your mind out of the fucking gutter. He sends me everything he can, including the huge threat. I decide a gangbang is the only way to realistically not lose this race to a horde of bugs. I trade my entire untapped army for his hive, and then I get to untap. I attack, draw more gas, play an Ice Manipulator and another blocker. He concedes.
I'm a badass beauty boy, 2
Game 2, I sideboard a copy of Deadeye and Sledge in order to allow my replicas to trade favourably with his big green fatties. I keep a hand of Mir, 2 3-drops and a Golem. I lead Mir into Sky Cub. Meanwhile, he beats me down with a 2/1 protection from artifacts that almost none of my removal can hit. He offers a trade for my Cub with his 2/1, but I decline politely, pushing his hand away and saying, "No sir, not today." I am rewarded when I draw everyone's favourite mask, Mask of Memory. I stick it on the young cat, and like a young and sprightly Tom Cruise and Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, he joins an orgy. No, he doesn't join an orgy, that's a lie. He swings in the air, and he gets in and he hits him, and I draw some more fucking cards, and it is great. This cat is firmly on value mining duty and it is getting a raise. I pitch a land, keep all of the gas in my hand. He plays Sun Droplets, which almost deletes my entire clock. It gets a counter whenever I damage him, and at every upkeep, and that's including mine as well as his, he removes a single counter to gain a life. This means that he's gained 2 life every turn compared to my clock of 3. It's kind of gross and grinding the game out. I mask my way into my bomb and keep making land drops. I play a soldier and my bony shard. Wink wink, nudge nudge, and say no more, say no more. It's a dick about joke, joke, dick about joke, joke, joke about dicks. I mask into a Mirrodin longbow, which is on a non-artifact creature, the answer to that annoying little 2-1. I finally cast my Luminous Angel and don't get met with an immediate terror, which feels so good. My opponent has a trampler which I get to arrest. Upon equipping my now non-summoning sick angel with a bow, my opponent starts messaging me. The salt is real. The long and short of it is that he believes the format is badly designed and that he made every possible decision correctly. He doesn't want to take a step back and assess his mistakes, being so heavily in green during the draft, for example. Remember kids, blaming everything outside of your control is not how we learn. And remember, why do we fall, Master Bruce? So I went 2-1, I like my deck and I enjoyed the format this time round. I hope the video was entertaining enough. Any questions or queries, tips or tricks, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications when I upload content in the future. Would you like to see more limited gameplay? That is the question. If that is the case, then please leave a comment letting me know. And until next time, keep it in your pants, Sinbad.